Hey guys, GameBoy30 on here once again, and today we're in Forza Horizon 5 and doing a bit of a discussion for some of the overlooked meta cars in the game. And we're going to be talking about a range of classes from D class up to S1. Now I know D class isn't really a thing for like online racing, but for rivals it's definitely a thing. So we are going to start off with the D class cars. We got two cars here. We have the Renault 4L Export, the barn find car, and the Cyclone Spoiler Mercury. One is a barn find, one is a car pass car. So one is free, one is paid for. I put them both here because they're both fun cars in their own right. The Mercury, just for how much stupid horsepower it can get in D class, it can get 600 horsepower in D class. Over 700 foot-pounds of torque too, that's not something to scoff at. And if you're stupid enough, you can put a max horsepower diesel swap into it as well, but it's actually undrivable in D class, so don't do that. This is just the right amount of power and grip to get away with it. Meanwhile, the Renault is the complete opposite. The Renault is basically full power all the time. It can take every corner pretty much flat out on this track, and they get pretty similar lap times, as you'll find out. But overall, these two are very different builds. One can take corners flat out. The other, you need the short shift to keep the wheel spin under control. It's got stock tires, the Mercury, and the Renault has, I think, the vintage white wall tires. Yeah, there they are. So it can get some good grip around the corners in D-Class. You could go up to like a higher compound tire, but you're just wasting points. You could probably get a little bit more power, but this car is so light. Less than 1,500 pounds, so 150 horsepower is not too bad. And the Cyclone Spoiler, I don't know how it can get so much horsepower in D-Class. I would guess it's the weight, but that does not make too much sense because another car is the Oldsmobile. That's another car pass car, actually, I'm pretty sure. If you put all-wheel drive on that and the diesel swap, you can get that car to be over 5,500 pounds. It's the heaviest muscle car in the game. But that can still get up to like A-Class. So I don't know how the Mercury's like that. I guess the stock tires are just that bad. So the weight plus wheel spin, it really brings it down. Looks like we're coming up to the last corner here for the Cyclone. And we can see we had the short shift and take it wide, and the Renault, it basically doesn't care. It's just full power all the way through that corner. Overall, though, the Mercury is faster around this track than the Renault, but if you had a twistier circuit, then the Renault would definitely be the way to go. So yeah, that is the D-Class cars, and some of them you may have overlooked. Next up, we're going to move to A-Class road cars. Before it's D-Class, so now we're in the A-Class. We got the 1960 Corvette and the Ford Mustang SVO. One is a base game car, but it's pretty hard to get. I think you need to get all the Chevys to get this car. Or it could be a wheel spin car as well, I forget. And the Mustang is a car pass car. One of these is a grip build and the other is a power build. The Mustang has almost 900 horsepower from its V8 swap. I think initially it comes with a tiny inline 4, so it's pretty silly like that. But it can get some good power for B-Class, but for A-Class you need the V8. And the Corvette, you cannot engine swap, so the only thing you can do is add a supercharger. And that gets up to 625 horsepower, 475 torque, not too bad. They're both about the same weight, a little bit over 3,000 and a little bit over 3,100. So it really is all in the build here. The Mustang has rally tires and the supercharged V8. That's how it's able to stay relatively grippy through all these corners, but we can easily see that the Corvette is able to make up ground on the corners because it has race tires. So we can see they're actually not too dissimilar in overall pace. The Mustang obviously has a higher top speed. For any track with a lot less turns, you're going to want this. Can get up to 200 miles an hour in A-Class, which is pretty cool, but not very many circuits can take advantage of that. The Mustang does slide around, though. and we can see the Corvette, it just sticks and grips. Coming up to the last turn, they're virtually even. So, depending on the track, you may want either of these cars, and we see they get basically the same lap time. What is it going to be? A 157 for both, 157.2 to a 157.5. That's too close to call, really, so it's your pick for what kind of track you like. Next, we move to S1. This is two similar builds for two cars I've never seen anyone race online. We have the TVR Griffith, which is just awesome from Horizon 4. And both of these have the same engine, the Mercedes V8 supercharged. I don't know why this engine is in both of these cars, but I am very thankful it is because it is such a good engine. As well for the V8 swap in the Mustang before, pretty much once you're in second gear, there's no wheel spin. I think I had to rewind for the Lotus. That's probably, it's a second behind. Don't worry about that. I tried to get clean laps, but, you know, I'm bad. So, we can see the Griffith is maxed out at 1,000 horsepower. It does weigh a little bit more. It's rocking no aerodynamics, so it is going to have a straight line speed advantage. That is for sure. And the Lotus, that is rocking the aero. And it's running a little bit less horsepower, but it is also lighter. So part of the weight is similar, but overall, like maximum pace, the Griffith will have it. It's not too bad. It's pretty similar in terms of like grip to the Jaguar barn find. And the Lotus is just insane with its grip naturally. You can see it really making up some ground on these corners here. The Griffith does slide around, but it does put its power down nicely once you get in a straight line. Other than that, it's a pretty fun car to drive. Same for the Lotus. They're both really fun cars to drive. Overall, for different tracks, those will both do very well. Higher top speed, you'll want the Griffith. More cornering, you will want that Lotus. And lastly, we take a look at A-Class dirt racing. This is very competitive. We've got two cars here. One in the auto show, one is so absurd you've never heard of it. I mean, you have, you just didn't care about it because it's the Maserati Hctf, a vintage racer car that was in one of the first festival playlists. Nobody has this car. It was an 80% reward, and it is insane on the dirt. It has 455 horsepower, but it weighs 1,500 pounds. It's just so stupidly light. It gets around the corners and accelerates out of them like nothing in A-Class. It's insane. Anything on the dirt, the Maserati is unbeatable. The Exocet's a great handling dirt car, and it can also take some big jumps as well. But in terms of like raw speed, you just can't beat that Maserati. So the Exocet's a great car. I've beaten many lobbies in both of these cars, so you're fine to choose either one. But that Maserati, if you can get your hands on one, it is so good. Even on cross country, it's good. So yeah, if you can get it, well worth it. And that's going to about do it. I hope this opened your eyes for some of the rare cars you could find in online lobbies or even use in online lobbies. And shout out to the Oldsmobile in B-Class for getting 975 horsepower and being front-wheel drive. It's actually pretty good handling, but sadly it's just way too heavy to be competitive. But I do love to drive it. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. If you have another suggestion for a future video, you can leave a like, favorite, comment, share. And of course, don't forget to subscribe as well. Thanks again, but I'll see you all in the future. Goodbye, everybody.